our quarterback 100% and get the number where he wants it to be as far as the contract. That's what he wants. Are you kidding me? That he's got, first off, he can take all the time he wants because these teams are desperate as hell for needing a quarterback right now, and he's the best one available. So it's all on his timetable. And yes, he's waiting for Minnesota's the spot. This is what I've been trying to say to you. And oddly enough, I did not think I was going to be saying this a few weeks ago. I really didn't, or last year. But events changed with J.J. McCarthy's injury and Sam Darnold and where things went. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is perfect for Minnesota. Like I said, I think you're in the Super Bowl window. You could go to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. It makes sense. It does. I'm sorry there, Slugger. He's coming to a hometown near you. Get ready.
Well, The Athletic had a 3-byline article on Saturday, and I think it's funny how, because and I say this somewhat seriously, but also tongue-in-cheek. When you have 3 people who are writing an article, do they take turns writing each word, each paragraph, each letter? Are they sitting there like, here, you do this? I mean, I don't understand how 3 people contribute to an article, but that's because I've never had more than one contribute to anything that I've written, and it's either my work or someone else's. I don't know how it can be 3 people's, but it gives it more credibility when it's got 3 names on it. This idea that Rodgers does want to go to Minnesota. And look, at the risk of getting any mean texts today, I already put it out there on PFT the other day, Mike Silver, who's one of the 3 names on the 3-name article, has that Cal connection to Rodgers.
Yes.
And so at least Silver would have run this by Rodgers before going with it. Or worst case scenario, Rodgers through his people or directly gets in touch with Silver and say, you're way off base.
Right.
Or he's the source. Regardless, it gives it extra credibility when a guy who's got that Cal connection to Rodgers is one of the 3 names on the story that he's waiting for Minnesota, and then it basically all comes down to what Kevin O'Connell wants to do. So I don't agree with you that Rodgers takes them to the Super Bowl. I don't think this is Brett Favre, who by the way, failed to take them to the Super Bowl because Brett Favre.
Do you not agree with me, or do you not want to agree with me, though? Yeah, that's what what is it? Is it pasta and meatballs? Is it just, there's some bias, I think, in your thought on this one a little bit.
Bias. There's no bias.
All right, good.
It's a conclusion that's been drawn after following this guy very carefully for 20 years. Okay, number 1, Favre didn't take them to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Number two, I think Aaron Rodgers isn't, as the kids would say, washed, but he's not the guy that won back-to-back MVPs in 2020 and 2021.
Right.
He doesn't have the mobility that he did, and when he tries to use it, he could get himself injured, and he could play 4 snaps for the Vikings in 2025. And also, I don't think that Kevin O'Connell can you betcha Aaron Rodgers away from being Aaron Rodgers. And look, I never really thought about this, but Kevin O'Connell is the ultimate Minnesota coach because he's Minnesota nice, and he's a positive force, and everybody loves him, and he's done a great job. I don't think that's going to work on Rodgers. Rodgers is still going to be Rodgers. He's still going to do the Pat McAfee bully pulpit once every Tuesday. He's still going to, make it clear if there's something he doesn't like. And I know plenty of Jets players were upset that the Jets moved on from him, but Garrett Wilson sure as hell wasn't. Garrett Wilson reportedly was thinking about asking for a trade if Rodgers. And he had career highs in catches, yards, and touchdowns, and he still wasn't happy with Aaron Rodgers. So there's an element of toxicity that you're introducing into your organization if you bring Rodgers. And I think that it's not going to get the Vikings what they want. It's going to slow, if not destroy, the development of J.J. McCarthy. If they do a 2-year deal with Rodgers, fully guaranteed, McCarthy's going to want to be traded, I believe. I don't see it. And, it's funny. It's not just the Favre parallels. Somebody pointed this out to me yesterday. In 2000, Denny Green, the late Denny Green, who coached the Vikings from 92 into the 2001 season, he had Dante Culpepper, who was the 11th overall pick in the draft in 1999, who was ready to take over. They'd moved on from Randall Cunningham and Jeff George. They were ready to hand it to Dante Culpepper. Denny Green tried to get Dan Marino to go to Minnesota, and Marino said no. And this is that same thing. Aging, franchise, all-time great. Am I comfortable going with this guy who was a top 10 pick in J.J. McCarthy, or do I want to try to get to the Super Bowl and win it with aging gunslinger? And that's the deliberation.
It is the deliberation.
If the reporting is accurate,
yeah,
that's what the Vikings are currently trying to figure out.
Oh, I mean, it is the deliberation. I hear you. Hey, Aaron Rodgers' reputation around the NFL is not stellar. There's no doubt about that. There's definitely people scared to have him on their football team with all the things that'll come with it. Yes, there's no question. I hear you there. From his standpoint, of course, he wants to go to Minnesota. The defense is good. It's gotten better in the free agency. The offense was borderline awesome. It's gotten better in free agency. And then the other part of that comes in, I think, is like what you're saying here. So Rodgers is going to love that. You're talking, whoa, we got a defense, Brian Flores, this offense, these receivers. Damn, the tight end's good. They're one of the best pass-protecting O-lines in football. Now, where I will differ with you, I think Kevin O'Connell's got a little more jerk in him than you're giving him credit for. I do. And I do think this will be one where if he's thinking about it, he's going to lay it out on the line and go like, listen, it's my way or the highway. That would just be my 2 cents. I don't know that, right? But just hearing things about Kevin O'Connell, what I know from people up there, being around him a little bit, I think he's a little bit more of a jerk than you think. And I kind of see it. You kind of saw it on the quarterback series with Kirk Cousins and that. He's got a way of letting you know he's mad. He doesn't have to get in your face and yell and go crazy and get a scene. But he gives you a look. He says a few things. He kind of holds himself in a way where he's like he's annoyed with the way you're playing. You're going to know that. But that's what he's got to figure out. That's what I'm sure he's deliberating right now, Mike. He's calling people around the NFL. What's it like working with this guy? Am I going to be able to handle him? How's this going to work? Because I don't think there's any doubt that Aaron Rodgers wants to go there. That's by far the best spot. And I will say for the Vikings, again, I think I agree with it. If you can feel good that Rodgers will get in line with the team and not be a distraction, I think they are ready. 14-3. I don't know if I'd want to put that on a rookie quarterback, basically second year, you know what I'm saying, but coming off the injury. I would seriously be considering Aaron Rodgers, and then you'll be considering jumping ship to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Fly, Eagles, fly. What's funny is we were so caught up in what are they going to do with Sam Darnold that we never took the Rodgers possibility serious.
Well, the Daniel Jones thing, I think that pillar had a fall. I think that was this last pillar that made us go into this. Because I think
whoa.
Yes, exactly.
Like
right?
they got no veteran. What are they going to do?
Exactly. So I think that to have that behind J.J. McCarthy, it was like, oh, okay, well, if it doesn't work for J.J., we got Daniel, and we'll be okay if we think we're a really damn good team that could go deep into the playoffs. Now it's just like, oh, J.J. by himself, if he struggles, we're just going to hang in there and struggle with him. And I'm sure that's a little bit like, they love J.J. McCarthy. I know that. But where their team is at and everything, I think it's worth considering, taking a shot here at the old number 12 who doesn't like you very much.
In the weekend, well, it's mutual. In the weekend before free agency, I was told if Daniel Jones stayed in Minnesota, it was only going to be to start. Either he was delusional or he had an inkling that they've got reservations about